everyone. And welcome back to Cast Space. No, we're going.
Okay.
I'm Johnny here for No Cap Space.
We have a repeat guest who's not even a guest anymore now.
Yeah, she's just honorary member of No Cap Space.
I pitched a tent, basically.
Like, doing your Seerat Sohi. Welcome back. Bracket breakdown time.
It's March. We're over here getting mad. We got the homie.
Yeah. The madness.
Yeah.
The madness is taking over.
These coaches really putting the madness right now.
Let's talk about it.
But first,
let's talk about it. But first, let's talk about our friends on home field. Because hey, they're here. No Cap 15, No Cap Space collection. It just dropped. You can find all your women's basketball merch from home field. All right there. No Cap 15, 15% off your first purchase. Boom. There you go. Home field. Get ready for March Madness. Now let's talk about these coaches. Because what's going on, man? People are not happy. People are not happy.
It's lonely at the top. That's what I've learned today.
Yeah.
I've learned that no matter how good you get,
whether you're Don Staley at South Carolina or you're Lindsay Gottlieb,
yeah,
or even Gino was kind of mad. Like everyone was just kind of mad. I think
Corey Close, what are you prepared to do about it? Because that's what it all comes back to.
Can I tell you?
Like, why am I here?
My favorite part about this, you know who we haven't heard a peep from? Vic Schaefer. Vic Schaefer has not said a word this whole time.
Well, Vic Schaefer got it out with the coin flip.
He did. And like Texas got the number 1 seed, and we haven't heard a peep from Vic down in Austin. And you know what?
Corey hasn't said anything either.
Look, I don't blame him. So,
well, happy families are all the same.
Let's dive into it. We'll start with Don Staley and obviously Shawnee, we got you here through we put the lure out to bring in what was your question? I
summoned Shawnee with a question that I think is a very pertinent question, which is that does she think it's good for morale of the South Carolina Gamecocks that Don Staley thinks that a team that was blown out by UConn at home on their own home court, the game was over in the second quarter, lost to who else they lose to? Oh my gosh, I had a
UCLA
and lost to UCLA, lost to the number 1 seed that she thinks she should have, lost to the other number 1 seed, who they actually put her ahead, which is fair. That's fair.
Yeah, they got it back. Yeah, they got it back.
I think they're the rightful 2 seed. Or the rightful second number 1 seed.
Yeah, second.
And I just don't see Gino as upset about this when they've essentially had the exact same season, where you start off and you're like, oh, I'm not too sure about all of this, but by the end you got all this net rating stuff, things are coming together. But you know what? The games that you play in November count, especially when they're against the actual number 1 seed. What I will say is, I don't mind the posturing. I don't mind the gamesmanship of like, well, I guess next year we just won't schedule difficult games. Because Don Staley's a strategist. So I can see both sides of it. I can see the wheels turning already for next year, making sure that no matter what happens next year, they get the number 1 overall seed. So I think I see it. I see it from all sides. But Shawnee, I'm curious how you feel about all this.
I don't have to say anything because first he started fumbling over the hate, so that meant you didn't even feel that in your heart.
Well, we've been look. The pre-production meeting went a little long.
Yeah,
it's late.
Yeah, no, I'm benefiting off of a long travel schedule.
That's it. Just for those of you listening, I know it doesn't mean anything. I know your practice shots don't count, but this was a very well articulated take.
Yeah, we had a hard practice. Shoot around was crazy today.
Oh my gosh, we went a little too hard in shoot around.
Yeah, shoot around was crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that it's like you said, preparing for the future, because historically we have gotten screwed over. So it's like, even if it's not like right this very second, I remember when they weren't taking us seriously in 2020. I remember, when little things were said here and there about the 2022 team and this, that, third. Like, her teams have traditionally had to deal with like nonsense. So I understand her putting her size 7 oofs down and saying like, hey, don't get too cute. We not doing that. We're not going back to that. So do I think we needed the number 1 overall seed this year? I hear the arguments for no, but I also think like, you do kind of like gotta make sure like, because again, like, why does Kim Mulkey get to do what she does and like it don't never seem to matter? Like, she shouldn't be in the tournament. I'm not even gonna lie. They shouldn't be in the tournament.
This is a crazy pivot.
No.
Shawnee,
That's
please.
a crazy take.
I know.
I
know.
She was trying to get the smoke away.
Yeah.
She just did something crazy.
Throw a nuke at my op. Like, I don't. Because like you gotta find.
Shawnee's like, why would Kim Mulkey do this?
Exactly. Like that. I'm just like,
I'm
gonna spill the water.
They actually scheduled a couple tough games.
Yes, like this is,
and that's like where my argument falls apart. But I'm never gonna get over it because like you've already benefited twice. So it's like again, your reputation speaks for yourself. So Dawn wants to make sure our reputation speaks for itself. So where maybe next year we get Brooklyn KC Baptist Church Community College, and they're still like, well, South Carolina's been doing this. So I understand it. I get it. You do what you got to do in front of them cameras. I don't think we're like an underdog or we're like being super
doubt us
disrespected this year. Yeah. So the commercial, I'm kind of like, okay. Because it went from like, no, those were just team issued shirts. Like we had to wear them. Like, okay, yeah, Under Armour should have thought that through. Like you got the number 1 team on your squad. Think of a better slogan, a more inclusive slogan. You have winners here. Yeah, you have winners here. Like keep us in mind. But like then the commercial about like everybody saying something negative and we're like, that's not really happening this year per se. So I was kind of like, I guess, okay. I did love seeing some of my favorite internet comedians in there. So
yeah, it's cool.
Shout out to the crew. But yeah, the whole messaging around it, I'm kind of like, that's an interesting pivot.
Yeah, I don't love it.
I'd argue, it feels like South Carolina, especially the early part of the season, they were getting a lot of credit based on their reputation. A lot of people waiting, rightfully so, because they're a much better team than they were at the start of the season, and they showed it. But everything that happens at the start of the season still happened. Yeah,
I'm with you.
Did it?
Okay. I was there in person for the UCLA game. I can vouch.
I mean, I wasn't, so I don't really know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, I mean, I will say, like, in fairness, they weren't really there for the UConn game. Nobody was there for the UConn game.
Oh, Shawnee wasn't. Shawnee wasn't there either.
Yeah.
Which once again, so like the games like, I'm not at suddenly. Hold on, because I gotta like take y'all's word for it. The games I wasn't at to see with my own eyeballs. Y'all are gonna tell me like something went awry with my squad. Like I don't know. I don't believe it. No, we should have had that number 1 overall seed. This is ridiculous.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, Shawnee.
I'm gonna put my cock thinking cap on.
There you go. There you go.
My cock.
Yeah, there you go. It's too late for game time jokes, please, y'all. We can't do this. Another coach that was grieved, that was not happy. Lindsay Gottlieb, and I feel like this is an interesting position because she doesn't have the cachet that Dawn has. Like when you can kind of talk that shit, frankly. Like it's to a point. Do I think that she has a valid point potentially? Yes, but it's just different coming from a coach that we haven't really seen at this very tippy top level yet. So I'm interested for y'all. What are the takeaways here? Because I mean, I think that there's a fair argument over Texas. Texas has not been great recently. Like they have very clear flaws. I feel like Texas does, and USC obviously has the star power of that. So like, I think that there's kind of an easy narrative thing there, but also Texas has a great resume on top of it. Like even with their flaws, so like I can kind of get with either side of this. But what are we feeling about that in specific with what Lindsay had to say.
I think that USC is a better team than Texas, but I don't think it's necessarily the committee's job to be like, okay, but Texas doesn't shoot any threes. I think the reality is Texas won basically every game that they should have won, minus an overtime game against Notre Dame. And maybe they weren't competitive enough in the SEC final. They're also, I think, exhausted because, as Vic Schaefer pointed out, they did not win that coin flip. So to me, it's like they do have the better resume, and they just don't have anything on their resume that is like the Iowa loss.
Yeah, I mean, like, they really haven't
like at bottom. It's like it's
like,
that game, and it comes down to that game, and it sucks that it comes down to that game. And maybe if they beat UCLA, maybe we're probably not having this conversation. But they also built back their resume with really those 2 wins over UCLA, which is really you're beating one team that you kind of have their number at the same time. So, yeah, I get it a little bit more from Lindsay's side, but also at the same time, it's kind of the same thing with South Carolina. It's like, well, guys, like, are people just supposed to ignore your lowest moments in the season? Like that's just not how this works.
Yeah, because USC has had their fair share of questionable moments offensively as well. Like throughout, like Texas, I think has had some of the most like glaring ones, like from like the top teams in the nation. But again, to your point, they don't really have like a bad loss. Your losses are to South Carolina and Notre Dame. Like that's respectable. That is very, very respectable. And like obviously the losses
and one that you avenged as well.
Right. Yeah. You also had a South Carolina win. So even though like those losses they were nasty. Like both those losses were like just not even competitive in that way. But I mean, again, that's why like even though I think I'm with you where I'm like I think USC is probably the better team. Like if they went head to head, I'd probably pick USC to win. But you can't ignore what had happened over the course of the season just because of the right now and like kind of the what you've done recently, a little bit of it, I feel like, but with that. And so for me, Shawnee, how you feeling?
I know why they wouldn't, but like I really want somebody to ask, like, so who do you feel disrespected by? Because like, what if she's not even talking about Texas? What if she's like, why is UCLA?
That would be a good question. Like, let's create some beef. Yeah.
Yeah, like why is UCLA number one? We whooped them at home.
We beat them twice.
Yeah, like what did they do that
we put the fours down at Poly.
Look, and honestly, like the argument there with USC is pretty because like
we in the same conference, we got some of the same wins, we got some of the same.
You beat us on the third day of the tournament. That'd be an interesting. I think that's fair to say. That's a fair question.
I also recently rewatched that game, and I really do think that if there were 2 more minutes left in that game, Juju would have brought them back. That was a very, very close win.
Yeah.
Very, very close win. And the way she started hitting those jumpers over Lauren Betts, it was like, oh.
Yeah, it started getting wicked there towards the end. They just ran out of time. Like, but I mean, what are you gonna do?
Okay, sure, yeah. The game's 40 minutes, whatever.
Yeah,
right?
What are you gonna do? So like, but Shawnee, I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm
not like, and that's what I'm saying. Say it. Who do you feel? Because like we're sitting here picking apart Texas, and Vic is probably like, what did you say? When the whole time she's like, no, it's Corey Close. You are a fraud. And it's like, oh, yeah. Corey, what are you prepared to do about it? So I'm kind of like, coaches got to start saying, who you think, let us know. Who do you think who got your spot?
Who specifically? Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah. I'll tell you, I also just don't think, and like, I mean, obviously, like this is we're getting kind of hypothetical stuff, but like this would not be happening if UConn wasn't in their region. They're pissed that UConn is in their region.
100%.
Like that. No, like that is completely. That's what this is about. Is the fact that they have to potentially go play UConn in the Elite Eight.
She saw Luigi and lost her mind.
It was so pissed.
Okay. All right.
Hey, you know what though?
Yeah.
You know what though? Respect to the NCAA for that.
So you like it?
Making sure that we get that Paige Juju rematch.
They said the Final Four is going to do the numbers it's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Bring those eyes to the Elite Eight.
Exactly.
Like, bring those eyes to the Elite Eight.
It's like LSU, Iowa being last year's Elite Eight.
Exactly.
And everybody being like, oh, what a shame. And it's kind of like, no, it's actually great. Because now you have all this momentum going in. And hey, look, if Juju is the person that we say she is, and Paige is the person that we say she is, which I think they both are. I think they both are, Shawnee.
I know.
It's going to be a classic. It's going to be a game for the ages. And whoever wins that game is then going to be carrying the lore of, oh, they had to take down Juju or they had to take down Paige to get there. I think it's actually a great play. It sets up such a great storyline going to the Final Four.
Yeah, and especially if that, because that would lead to, I mean, goodness, imagine the run of USC, like potentially speaking here, right? Like the potential run of UConn, UCLA in the Final Four, and then like, you know, a South Carolina or Notre Dame, like avenging the lot. Like there's so like the different opponents on the other side. Like, we're talking about building lore. If Juju's able to do that, the Judenda would be
rebuilding it. Oh my gosh, Hall of Fame her right then and there.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you gotta get a new jersey. I'm gonna retire it on the spot. Like, you can't wear this one anymore.
And I'll need Cheryl Miller mic'd up for all of it.
Oh my gosh,
please.
I need Reggie and Cheryl in the Final Four.
Please.
Like how we're getting like Diana and
I was about to say put them on the Sue and DT show together.
Oh,
that'd be so fire.
Yeah, like the Manning cam or whatnot, like Miller cam. Hello,
cam?
We can provide that. Cheryl, Reggie, if you're watching, which I'm sure
you got tapped in.
Yeah.
What do you eyeing? Okay. Is there upset?
Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start?
Like, you tell me. Like, do you have like any like kind of hot takes that we're looking at here? We'll get into like your actual like Final Four and everything, but like in these early round games, or maybe like a sleeper Sweet 16 run. Like, what do you got on your bracket right now? We might be eyeing.
Okay, so the team that I probably am the most curious about and think that they could potentially make a deep run, potentially knock off a team that we just talked about, Tennessee. Yeah, I think Tennessee is a team that just stumbled towards the end of the season. Kim Caldwell admitted that, in hindsight, she would have managed their loads better. It was her first time in the SEC, talked about the SEC being a gauntlet, talked about just needing some rest. They got knocked out early, and you know what that allows you to do beyond rest? It allows you to install some counters into this system that tore basketball apart for the first few months of the season. So I am very curious just from her what we're going to get, because I know it's just year one. I think she's got it. I think she's just got the goods. I think she's
her.
Has the makings of, could end up being one of the next great coaches that we see in basketball because of her combination of just tactical acumen. It takes a certain level of boldness to be willing to play a system like this at such a high profile, walking in to the building that Pat Summitt built, but also very clearly seems to have the soft skills as well. It's beyond just being like the hard ass that comes back after her pregnancy. Like, does seem to have like the other side of it that you need to not like burn your players out as well. So I'm a believer, and I wish I could see those practices right now. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I was just there. Like, that's just one team that you think about. Like, some of these teams, they don't want this break, right? Like, if you're like a Duke or an NC State, for example, like you're thinking about like everything that you just did towards the end of the season. You're like, you kind of want to keep the momentum going. Tennessee needed a break. And if they beat Ohio State, which is a big if, like Ohio State,
that'll be an interesting game.
That's going to be a fascinating game, like tactically too. Like both those teams with their full court presses, like Cody versus that front court, is going to be really, really fun. If they beat Ohio State, I think that they really have the means to upset Texas. They only lost the game that they played in the regular season by 4 points, and Aaliyah Moore was healthy back then. And they are going to need front court depth against a team that just wants to rebound the crap out of the ball. And they just it's a three-pointer stuff more than anything else. Like, if there's one team that you can punish a lot for not taking enough threes, and you're Tennessee, you take over 30 threes per game. That's the one.
Yeah,
that's a one right there. That's a one right there. And then I don't know, like, from there, like I think like if all of this happens, I think Notre Dame Tennessee would also be a really interesting game too because of how big transition is for both those teams, right? Like in the full Hannah Hidalgo and Olivia Miles versus the full court press. Personally, I think that's a battle that Hannah and Olivia win. But that's where you start thinking about the counters and the specificities of matchups and how much they're going to be adaptable when they do run into teams like Kentucky that they lost to, for example. It was like, look, like Georgia Amore can figure this out.
Yeah.
Clara Strack can figure this out. Like, just really good ball handlers, smart players, like the playmaking of Amore, like all that stuff. Like she can. That was a team that was kind of designed to beat Tennessee, and I think Tennessee probably should have realized it. But if now they might have some time, they might be thinking about these things. They know that maybe that's on their horizon. If they like want to get where they want to go, like that's something that I'm watching them. And look, they could very well just lose to Ohio State.
That's what that's literally like if they get past Ohio State, like the sky's the limit to me. Like if they get once they get like that first little like that, like I mean it's
and just to get a big win, like get your first big win in a while too, right?
Yeah. It's like if they get rolling, I don't know, man. Like because this whole region is just like the possibilities for chaos. I don't even like. Yeah, like I think there's a lot of chalk.
Like Notre Dame might not even be there. TCU could be there.
Yes.
If Notre Dame isn't going to play Kate Covell, they might not be there.
Yeah.
And they haven't been playing her, so they might not be there.
Yeah, I mean, whatever Notre Dame ends up, I don't know what version of Notre Dame we're getting. So, like, I mean, Lord knows honestly what we might get from Notre Dame. Is there anyone else that some deep runs or anything like that you're eyeing?
Deep runs. Well, you know what? Okay, here's a team I was going to ask you about because admittedly I have watched them. I haven't watched them enough, but a potential Sweet 16 between UConn and Oklahoma seems like it could be interesting. So I'm sure you've thought about this. So I would love to know.
Wow, nobody's ever asked him this
is actually
genuinely about Oklahoma.
Nobody has ever asked me about Oklahoma.
I'm really happy for you, Tyler.
So I just want to thank you, and I'm really glad that you did it when it might be us facing UConn. That's great. Here's the thing. Oklahoma has had the same struggle. Like Jenny Bronchek's system is what it is, which is you're taking a lot of threes and you're comfortable with that. You're playing as fast as you possibly can. You're comfortable with that. But when the turnovers stack up, like that is a real thing. And like that's what makes me nervous about March Madness. Like she has never been to a Sweet 16 in her time in Oklahoma. And a lot of that is like you just kind of run into teams that can kind of just cause problems defensively. Like I've barely been able to get past to the UConn matchup because I'm worried about the Iowa matchup. Honestly, like just because of how good defensively they are. But if you get to that matchup, I think it's truly like there's shot making possibilities. And the fact you have Reagan Beers, they've never had a big like her that is just like a safety net in a way. The problem has been being able to get her the ball because post entry passing and things like that have been just consistently, problematic. So like, I think it's one of those games where it's like Oklahoma at their best. Can they? Yes. Like I believe that they can. Like they have the talent. They have shot making. Would I expect it? No. Like I'm pretty confident in UConn making it there, especially like I don't think there's anyone. I don't know who's guarding Paige Beckers.
No, it would have to be a shootout. It would have to be an absolute like they just hit a ton of threes. And maybe you get Sarah Strong in foul trouble.
Yeah, that's it. And Reagan Beers doesn't play a ton of minutes. She plays about it's like 22 minutes a game or something like that. So like you can't like rely on her to carry that the entire way. So like you're gonna have to just
fucking go
exactly. And like that's not like impossible. Yeah. But you need the best versions of your best players in that game. So like I would pick UConn in it, but like if Oklahoma did win that game. I see like the alley like they have to walk down to win it. It's just a slim one. You got to shoot your way through. Yeah. So
well, that's the thing with any UConn.
Pretty much,
like anybody playing UConn is almost going to have to play a perfect game and hope that UConn doesn't. Like hope that they mess it up somehow, which is hard to believe that they will. Honestly, let me ask you about like what you think about like an Iowa Oklahoma matchup.
Yeah, that's just interesting to me because we've seen Iowa obviously beat USC. We've seen them like when they're at their best, they have the bad stretch against like in their Big Ten, you know, and they lose the 5 games straight. And I just kind of never gave up on Iowa after that. like because they were like bad losses where you miss a bunch of free throws, or like it's just like kind of silly stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, close losses too.
Yes, and so like to me it was like this team is still very good, and we saw that later down the road, like when the USC win and you play UCLA close. So like to me, like, and also I tell you the thing that makes this matchup unique to me about Iowa Oklahoma is that it's essentially an in-state Iowa matchup. It's Iowa playing Drake. Like that is where Jenny's system comes from. She went to Iowa. She is from Iowa. This is an Iowa in-state matchup from a system perspective. So like Iowa is very comfortable playing this style of basketball. Like this is what they do when they play their in-state matchups against Northern Iowa, against Drake. Iowa State's a little bit different because they have some more size, but like you still have that 3-point shooting. So from that perspective, like I was like going into this from an Oklahoma fan perspective, from the bias perspective, I was like, I don't want to see Florida State because they have the scoring and they have some size down low. Like that, like felt like they could kind of directly match up. Iowa to me is a team that can directly just mess everything up and completely throw Oklahoma off rhythm. And then it just gets into a muddy type of game that like Iowa can be more comfortable playing in. That's where I get worried about it. I think Reagan Beers, I mean, she's just the key to everything for this because not many, like Reagan Beers is one of the best bigs in the nation, but how long are you on the floor doing it, whether it's foul trouble or just the natural pace of Oklahoma that they're playing at. So I expect Oklahoma to win that game, but like it could get very, very messy. And if I was able to mess it up, like that's where they're going to be comfortable playing in. And that is the foundation of their team. And they're not afraid of the size, not afraid of the shooting. They'll be comfortable playing against Oklahoma, and they'll probably travel. And like, I'm honestly interested in what home court advantage looks like in
that's a really good point,
genuinely, like in an Iowa Oklahoma game. I don't know what that's going to look like. So I'm intrigued, like genuinely really intrigued by it. So it's a fun one.
They've been really good since like since they lost those 5 straight games, right? Like not only they beat UCL or USC, they almost beat UCLA. Yeah, they almost beat Ohio State. The way they zoned up Ohio State and just kind of crushed any
Big Jan be on the clipboard clipping.
She do
man.
I love she do be. You get a little Ava Hayden moment.
Like like that's a massive discovery for them. Like to like really kind of like get her rolling like off. Like I'm not confident. Like I have on my bracket right now, I have Oklahoma, but like I'm not. Don't feel great. Not gonna lie, I don't feel great. So it's like even talking about the UConn matchup, I'm like I haven't even got there yet. Hell, Florida Gulf Coast is right there, ready to shoot 35 threes and make them all, and I just go home sad again. You know, been there before, Norman. So who knows what might happen with them? But I'm excited to see Big Jan. I like we got to see her in. We interviewed her in the preseason. I was bought in. I was ready to go commit to Iowa. We saw her, me and Shawnee did in Charlotte, and like the fundamentals of like the foundation of their team were so clear, and like the way that it was going to be different without Caitlin Clark there, and just like the defensive emphasis in that, and you have Lucy Olsen who can go and drop 30, 40 and go win you a game. So I'm terrified, to be quite honest. So I'm glad that this is when I get asked about Oklahoma. Is when I'm terrified.
The worst possible time when you're going to be playing like.
But I still appreciate
Olsen in like pick and roll, shooting her mid-range jumper like against Reagan Beers in the drop like over and over and over and over again. Yeah,
I'm actually just going to see that in my nightmares tonight. Thank you.
I was going to say you were like number one guess, and then you just.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to. We just we just talk through. We're talking through it.
No more honorary membership.
I'm talking Tyler through it.
Hey, whoa.
Anyways,
I need to go to jail. I need to go to jail
for a little bit.
Yeah,
for a few minutes.
Is there teams like your eye, or are we ready to talk some Final Four? Like what? Like is there any teams up top that you're looking like could make, whether it's an upset? Like again, it doesn't have to be any deep run, but are there any upsets that you might be? Maybe a team, a higher seed that you're not as confident in, like right now in these top 2 regions up here.
I mean, we already in the top 2 regions. Okay, let me take a real quick look at my bracket again. Remember what I got in the top 2 regions.
There's some fun ones, whether it be like Baylor, Grand Canyon. Norfolk State. Like there's I'm intrigued by a lot. I'm
intrigued by LSU, Florida State.
That's one that jumped out. Yeah.
What's that?
That's one that jumped out. Like when we I know we were on the live and everything. Like I mean, tonight lads, it's just so good. That like,
Yeah.
and the injuries potentially with LSU. Like
Exactly.
Shawnee pointed out, like Shawnee, they were both in boots, right?
Yeah.
Flau'jae and Anissa.
And that
And they had,
Anissa
like,
injury
opposite
just
ones. It
really,
was
really
bad.
did not look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so I'm like I
So
think
like,
healthy,
even if they can go, I'm still like, what percentage?
exactly.
Yeah.
Like because 100% LSU, I'm confident in that. Like even though I very much respect the team that Florida State is, but even 75% of both. I like Tanai Latson and Ko are very much good enough to beat 75% LSU.
Even a version of Flau'jae that doesn't want to be guarding Tanai Latson all game long. Like we kind of saw it versus Texas where, you know, like there was just really no answer to Madison Booker. Like I feel like, you know, Laster Poa did her best. And she's a good defender, but it's just like the drop different off from Flau'jae to everybody else. And that's not even like anything against it's just kind of
Flau'jae is just that defender.
Like exactly. Yeah. That's one that I'm definitely looking at. I at the same time, if LSU does come back fully healthy, I was listening to Flau'jae's pod and she was talking about how she feels like she really got a good sense of how she figured out what they need now, right? Like she figured out like she was watching on the sidelines and she just got a better understanding of the team. And if she comes back and like I'm reading playmaking into that, or maybe I'm being wishful in that way, because I think that that's really the only thing that LSU is missing. Like it's like the perpetual story with them, right? Like they have all this talent, but none of it coalesces because it just becomes like your turn, my turn. If that's what she recognized, then I'm like, okay, like bye NC State. Like you're not doing a damn thing about Lauren Betts, but you might make the Elite Eight then. Yeah, and that would be huge for them.
Yeah. No,
look, if Flau'jae figured that out, I need her to pass the notes to Juju because.
I mean, Juju, like, I don't think I really don't see like. Yeah, I disagree. Honestly, I feel like Juju has made so many strides as a playmaker.
Yes, but just to make sure, because sometimes it does get a little like.
Just to make sure. That's a review the notes.
Yeah. Yes. Open book test now.
I don't know, man. Like for a sophomore, for somebody who has like gets all the attention on her and like constantly changing coverages all the time, I feel like
I'm not saying she's bad. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying she's
good.
Yeah, but pass the notes though. You the upperclassman, pass the notes.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk Final Four. You know, you mentioned, you know, right here, nobody's stopping Lauren Betts. Is UCLA going to your Final Four?
Yeah, UCLA's going to my Final Four.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we'll map this out a little bit. So we got UCLA from this top region. We'll go down here. USC as the number one. You have UConn down here. Like, what are we feeling here?
Man, this is a tough one for me. I do feel like it really comes down to that. Like, how fast did Juju adjust to all of the shifting coverages and all of that? But I think, man, I just think Sarah Strong is going to be so damn mad. I think she's going to be a monster after what happened last time. And she had the same sort of thing of slowly starting to figure out like how to deal with Araya Marshall, like a little too late, and then wasn't able to like convert the free throws into three. But I just think she's going to be huge. And AZ Fudd is healthy, and she's on an absolute tear. I feel like UConn probably should win this game.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Shawnee, any thoughts on the UConn pick before we move on to the next region?
I think Shawnee loves it when everybody says that UConn should win. Because if they don't,
think so too.
If they don't, she's just going to be laying in wait. I see that.
Yeah.
Look, I don't have to say much. Y'all are putting the expectations. You know, they got 11 titles. Like, why wouldn't we believe in them?
Yeah, there you go, Shawnee. There you go. Raise the bar. Is anyone beating South Carolina?
Everyone.
Yeah, Vandy. No, I'm kidding.
Vandy
might go deep though. They might be playing Vandy in the Elite Eight.
Check my bracket.
Look.
We're anchored down, man. Michaela Blakes and Camille Pierre
keep them down.
Are ridiculous.
Yeah,
they are so good.
Yeah,
but not Final Four good for you.
No, they are in my Elite Eight right now though.
Okay, but losing to South
Carolina. And then I think they're gonna get smoked.
Okay, I mean, look,
bless their hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 1, 1, and 2. This is the region where I think it gets
the
fun.
Haley Van Lith bracket.
The Haley Van Lith bracket. So you mentioned Tennessee earlier. So you have Tennessee, if they get past Ohio State, knocking out Texas. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
I feel you. But are we looking at Notre Dame for the Final Four? TCU? Like, what are we feeling?
Right now, I feel like it's Notre Dame. But this is the one that makes me the queasiest. This is like this is a bracket where I'm just like, I don't want to make a pick. I don't want to be an expert. I'm just a girl and I just want to fill out my bracket. Like, please do not don't be like, oh, well, Seerat said no. Please do not do that for this bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Tennessee might be out in the second round. They might be in the Final Four. Texas might win the title. They might be out in the Sweet 16. Notre Dame might just up and lose to TCU.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tyler Swords is right there too. Like that's.
This is also when I'm faced with something like this. Like, I think sometimes you just got to go back to basketball brass tacks. Like Stephen A. Smith. Like Hannah Hidalgo is the best player in that bracket. So.
Look, I'll tell you this.
I thought you were just gonna pick the mascots. Like, who's got the best jersey colors?
No, I hate the Notre Dame mascot, man. I got.
Yo, what's going on? Hold on.
No, this is personal. Like,
what happened?
When Notre Dame came, Notre Dame was the 5 when OU was the 4. My last year, junior, I don't remember, but whatever that was, and they knocked OU out by 50. When OU hosted, I thought I was going on the road to go cover. And as right where my seat was on the baseline, the Notre Dame leprechaun was just dancing in my face the entire game. And this was it was brutal. It was
it's not funny.
And he was just he knew it. He knew he was hitting the Irish jig and just staring me in the eyes. It was brutal. So,
and you're in press row, having to be professional.
Yes, and I'm fuming. I was thought I was about to go on my first trip, to go cover stuff for real. I was so excited. Out of Oklahoma. I was getting out of Lotsie. I was bro, I don't remember where the regionals was, but I was so excited at the possibility. I had all my stuff ready to be booked.
And after everything that happened.
Oh, yeah. And then he just Irish jigged in my face.
That's not funny.
The entire game. Because it was early. They were up big. But to give you a vote of confidence, this is my Final Four right now in my bracket. We share the same Final Four as of this moment right now.
Yeah. And you're a ball knower. You're a basketball boy.
Well, no, I try. But now that we're here, we gotta find ourselves a champion. So let's start with UCLA UConn. What are we thinking?
I need you guys' help.
Okay.
I need you guys' help right now.
Come on, Shawnee, lock in.
Yeah. I need you guys' help. So
Neptune.
The UCLA side of this.
Yeah.
I feel like tactically, not much of an answer for Lauren Betts.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Kiki and Jaquez can give Paige a lot of trouble. I think that overall, just asking 2 freshmen to deal with Lauren Betts might then force you to go to more ice braiding than you would like to go to.
Sorry.
And look, it's just I'm not trying to be.
No, I know. No, I'm sorry. No, you're not. I'm sorry,
Johnny.
I'm sorry. It's just the way that sentence sounds. It's a very true statement. It's a basketball statement, but it just still sounds
yes. Yeah, but I feel you.
On the UConn side of it, look, number 1 offense, number 1 defense, absolutely rolling, stacked, experience. Maybe Sarah Strong can pull Lauren. I think Sarah Strong is just one of the biggest X factors in this whole tournament.
Yeah.
Maybe she pulls Lauren Betts out of the paint. And then USC just does their egalitarian cutting movement based offense, and Paige gets free and AZ gets free, and it's just gorgeous. And Ashton Shade is making these corner threes, and all the rotations are slow, and Corey Close is red in the face on the sidelines. That is, I see that possibility.
Yeah.
I'm seeing flashbacks. Sorry.
I feel like I feel like UConn has the edge as far as experience goes, as far as like my trust in who they can be in big games goes, as far as the coaching goes, as far as like playing the right notes at the right time. UCLA to me has a tactical advantage. I think they have the biggest matchup advantage in the series. I think they even like if UConn's offense gets going, like you can do some interesting stuff like with Janiyah Barker. I don't know if Corey Close is going to be able to play the right notes at the same time, at the right time, for all that stuff to really necessarily go down. But that's kind of where we're at. Like I have this trust in UConn, but then I see UCLA. They're a perfectly constructed basketball team. Like they were South Carolina last year. They have size, they have depth, they have shooting, they have a National Player of the Year candidate. Like they have so much going for them. And I feel like what I'll say is I feel like they should win that game. And I don't think they will.
Ooh. Yeah. Dun dun dun! Right at the end, but I mean I honestly can. I mean that's pretty much where my head is at with this one, where it's like UCLA again. I mean the South Carolina comparison, like it's damn near 1-to-1. Like I think the biggest difference is that South Carolina, pretty much all those players had been there before in some capacity, and Don Staley had obviously already done that. And like so I think like to your point, the trust
South Carolina is like UCLA and UConn combined this year. Like they have all the strengths.
Yes. Like the pluses of both these teams. So like I think that there's this like I have the pretty much the same mindset of this one. Like I picked UConn in my bracket for this matchup. And like but like it's literally like I could be swayed so easily to UCLA.
Yeah, like I might change. Like I'm not gonna make my full bracket until Thursday, and I could change my mind before then. I will say if UCLA does this, we're gonna have to start talking about Lauren Betts in the way that we talk about Juju Watkins, and the way we talk about Paige, and the way we talk about Hannah Hidalgo. Like
like
we're gonna have to start having those conversations.
Because I feel like this is a legacy game for either one, right? Like Paige, this is the last ride. I mean, presumably. You're 31.
Yeah.
But like you know,
look, like I'm 31, dude. That's just like I came on your show.
So it sounds like
now
you're
throwing
like,
my age around like it's like a pejorative. You're acting like I'm gonna be sent off to the glue factory.
Yeah. Why are you like calling people old is my thing? You know?
Tyler, shut up. I'm gonna get that leprechaun now.
Hey, please. Wait. Please
like,
don't.
No, but it's just like we've seen what kind of team.
Tyler, do you hate the Celtics too? Like, is there like
it's kind of become vicarious. Like at this point, yes. Like
it was St. Patrick's Day today. Are you? How are you?
Not great. I've stayed inside all day. I couldn't risk seeing any. Couldn't risk seeing any leprechaun
war flashbacks.
Yeah. No, I couldn't risk it. Just stayed inside all day. But yeah, it's a legacy game for like.
I think like honestly, with more on the line, UConn. We've seen what kind of team UConn is when Paige is like rising to that occasion and being aggressive. Like they're dangerous. Like all I see, like when you were talking, I was just like AZ in the corner for 3 again. AZ in the corner for 3 again. Like that to me is the X factor. So it's like
the exhausted closeout, like the like the turn around looking at the shot, putting your head down. Like
imagine they both drop 30 because like we've never seen that happen. But imagine like they do like a fusion dance and now like they both got 30 and it could get wicked. Sarah Strong, I watched her in person, my own eyeballs, shoot 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. Like
so good.
It could get wicked. So I think it comes down to like the intangibles. And like we've seen sometimes like UCLA gets a little flustered and stops going to the moneymaker. Yeah. And we're like, hello, do you know that you have Lauren Betts on your team? Yeah. Perhaps get her a touch.
There's also like one of the elements that was at play against USC that I could see coming back to it is just like, man, like you need a big Kiki Rice game as well, right?
And that's another thing. Which Kiki are you gonna get?
Yeah.
Because sometimes
And just the guard play in general. Like, I actually feel like I
Right.
shouldn't be singling out Kiki because she's like one of the few people that you can really, really count on to be like the most consistent. And she's made huge strides in that this year. But like overall, when you think about the guard play, there are times when it's like if Lauren Betts is not the one that's like pulling all the strings and making things happen, there's sort of just like we're looking around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're like, who has the keys here?
Yeah.
Googleich, what are you prepared to do
Well,
about
I was
it?
about to say, I actually think it'd be interesting in seeing.
Like, man, the Janaya and Dugalich potential for like just straight up fuckery in a Final Four stage too.
That would be
it's all there. And like, I honestly think like now seeing them kind of not crack the code, but like kind of figure it out against USC and like how they want to defend Juju, like it would be interesting to see like how they bring those tactics over into a game against Paige. And
I don't think you can defend in the same way.
It's about to say it's very different.
Yeah,
but I'm interested in seeing like how they might prioritize who's guarding who. Like just from like pure like matchup perspective.
We
like,
might not see. We might not get London Jones trying to lock down.
That's what I'm getting at here. That's what I'm getting at here. Is it Arnisalo? Is it
you better not.
Yeah, I hope not. Let's flip over to the other side. South Carolina, the death machine kind of feels back in a lot of ways. But Notre Dame, like, have very interesting, interesting avenues to win. Like at their best, what we like early season non-con Notre Dame, if that's what we're getting, would be very fun here. So what are you thinking here?
I almost feel like you have to assume that that's what's happening. If they do make it far enough to be in a Final Four, then that is going to mean that they are back.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I really don't know. I almost what do you think? Like, I can bounce off of you, but I really, I don't know.
Johnny, what are you thinking of matchup of a Notre Dame South Carolina matchup? You know, like, I mean, I know what you're gonna.
I have no say. Oh. No,
like I mean, like you know South Carolina. Like, what are the vibes going into a matchup like this? If like let's operate under like this is Notre Dame being good, like non-con Notre Dame at work. Because again, I think I agree with you. Like if they're at the Final Four, if we reach this point, presumably they're playing at a high level again. Yeah. So like let's operate with non-con Notre Dame versus now South Carolina.
Yeah.
Like what are the vibes here?
Not the Bears game. So you gotta flush that because this is a different Notre Dame team. They match up differently. Like, this is actually tough because like we trounced them last time we played. So it's like you got to get rid of that image and look at what they're able to do now. But it's also like which Notre Dame are you getting to start, right? Like you got to make sure that they don't come crashing down to earth again. Because, at this point, they've been playing a lot of basketball. And that was kind of one of the issues. Like, they got into that, like, weird lull and the fatigue set in or whatever. You got to make sure that that's not happening, like, at the worst possible time. This would be the first time Niele... Yeah, that would be her first Final Four, right?
Yes. Yeah. This would be so, I don't know how far she's gone, but it's definitely not a Final Four. Right.
So, it's kind of like the same thing... Vibes wise, it's kind of like the same thing with UCLA, like who's going to show up? Are y'all going to like do what you know to do? Or are you going to get hit in the mouth? But I think at this point, if we're already in the Final Four and you go ahead South Carolina me. Go ahead South Carolina me.
That's what I think at this point, like it's the trust factor. Like that's like I think like because I like I said I had this Final Four. I picked UConn, South Carolina, and I really think like that is the deciding factor for me. Is like literally just like if from a bracket perspective, like I don't think it's not hard to find how UCLA and Notre Dame would win either of these games. Like they obviously like they are good enough to win either of these games, but from a bracket picking perspective and like.
But I think it now comes down to depth, right? Yeah. If you're throwing 3 Hall at Olivia or at Hannah. And then, Chloe's doing her thing. And then you can have Malaysia and Joyce coming off the bench. And then you have Tessa. If that's our X factor. If Tessa is clicking how she needs to be, like, scary hours.
Yeah.
So
and she has been.
Really she comes alive in March. Like, these are hours. So I respect it. And I think depth it
we'll
comes
with
down
South
to depth.
Carolina then.
Yeah.
I look at where we ended up.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby.
Look at where we ended up.
Woo!
Oh my.
Oh my God.
Where do we go from here? Look, honestly,
this
funny
is
thing
either
is
gonna end women's basketball or catapult it to
this
heights
is
never seen.
What's so funny is that
Yeah.
this is the Doubt Us game. Because they whooped our ass last time. That's the Doubt Us game. You succeeded so hard that you have found doubt because the way UConn was able to walk into CLA and do what they did. Like this is you have succeeded so far. You have found the potential doubt. Goodness gracious, what a
bro! And this is really going to be some in-game level battles here because Paige last time she made it to the championship lost to South Carolina because it was this big hype about like, oh, Gino's never lost.
It's a revenge game for everybody.
Yeah.
Like
yes, no,
like,
literally,
it is literally a revenge game for everybody involved in this game. Like it is.
So
like
I
need it actually.
God, that might rip a space-time continuum. But we'll win, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, king me. Let's get it.
Is that how you're feeling, Sweet? Is that the?
I was hoping if I said it confidently, I would clear.
I can't get that game out of my head, honestly.
It was brutal. Like
it was really bad.
Like
really bad. And I think it's like almost one of the, like, you have to look at it, but you also kind of have to throw it out because of like all of the ways in which it was bad. I think UConn would win this.
Woo!
I think UConn would win this game, honestly. I think that they have like the talent advantage. And I just think, man, like Paige Becker's in her final game of her college career against like with a stacked team. Like I guess like we talk about Paige, but I feel like UConn would win this game like doing classic like old school egalitarian UConn stuff where like no matter how good of a game plan South Carolina came up with, there would always be some hole that they were trying to plug.
They're still UConn, yeah.
Yeah. Cause I don't know who I just don't.
I think it comes back down to Sarah Strong. Yeah. I mean, it's very easy to say that, but like, she's so good. But her at her best, like, I don't know who's matching up like directly from a defensive perspective of like, you lose Ashton Watkins early in the season, you lose like you go stop that big. Like you don't really have that for South Carolina. So Sarah Strong's hooping.
But at the same time, like on the South Carolina front of it, I feel like Chloe Kitts and Sanaya Fagan in those moments where they really needed to, like they have found ways to just be that presence, you know, like I feel like that win against Texas, being able to do what they did to that front court, like being able to do the things that they did to Kyla Oldacre, like, yeah, like what if they just make it impossible for Sarah Strong to touch the ball? Now, hey, look, we're talking about a team that shoots like no threes versus UConn. Right. So it's like game planning against that is going to be very difficult, which, hey, man, like, I don't think these things often really truly get reduced to like star decision making. I think we kind of like wish that into existence because we need to make stars, but like, you know, it might really come down to that. It might like come down to like like not even necessarily Paige, but like a freshman Sarah Strong. Like I imagine thinking about how Dawn thinks about the game in these moments and like the way that she mixes like tactics with like the personal side of these things, like maybe she decides, okay, like we're actually gonna let Sarah Strong catch the ball and we're going to like double her after her first dribble and see how she deals with that. Except this time the double team is coming from like a Bree Hall or a Malaysia Fulwiley or a Raven Johnson who can just get there in a snap and then rotate in a snap, and like we know where your first pass is going and Tessa Johnson's actually already there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like how does she handle a situation like that? Because we have seen excellent playmaking from Sarah Strong as well. And man, like if there's one thing she's got, it's that feel. It's like that just a bit like split second ability, like almost like I think about Luca sometimes when I watch her, because I'm just like your creativity and your ability to like make that read is so intuitive.
Yeah.
That like shit, maybe as a freshman she actually could do it.
Yeah. Look, Shawnee.
You said South Carolina? Oh, okay. Well,
Shawnee.
You know.
Put it on the bulletin board. Send it.
Screenshot it. This is why we have commercials.
Doubt us.
But yeah.
Doubt us. Oh man. Well, that's gonna do it. Bracket breakdown with one of our favorite guests. Come on now. Seerat, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
In the No Cap space.
So fun.
What a night we've had.
We've had a great night.
What a night we have had. Again, links to the Ringer show will be down in the description below. Go check out Seerat's pod. Just had a whole breakdown drop today, right?
Yes. Yeah. Dropped about 7,000 words on the players and storylines that I'm most excited for. Really fun to write. So hope you guys read. Like, honestly, look, I'm not so too on here, but I think I did a pretty good job. I think you guys will be very entertained and educated by maybe not educated. There's a lot of but entertained by reading it.
You said 7,000 words.
Yeah.
So
support literacy, man. Like, no, as from one writer to another, like when you get in your bag like that, like,
so you know,
go click that.
That'll be in the description below. So go check that out. You can also find our home field collection. Code NOCAT15, get 15% off your first purchase. And look, folks, we are on the road to the Final Four. More bracket breakdowns are on the way. All the lives, every single night. We will be live, post-game shows, wrapping up the nights every single night on the road to Tampa Bay, where we will have boots on the ground at the Final Four, giving you the best coverage that we can. So thank you.
You'll also be getting some very specific asks to join the podcast in moments that might be painful for you guys, but sometimes that's just what we do around here.
Okay.
I'm dead inside. I don't care.
Sick. I'll just go ahead and let me book my therapist before March really gets started here. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. You might get booked up pretty soon.
Yeah, no, it's about that time. So we'll hop off here. Thank y'all for tapping in. I'm gonna go do that. Until next time. What an awful outro. Bye, y'all.